Guys? This is Lee Van Dam here, and I want to bring you some tips for both clearing Academia's Elite difficulty for the Final Fantasy Type 0 event, along with tips for fighting the Doublicorn. So, without further ado, let's get into it. Now, most of the monsters in Academia are machines. So, one big thing you'll find out is that almost everything in the event is weak to lightning. So, if you're using a mage team, you'll want to chain with Thundaga. If you're using mainly physical team, Coral Sword's really good, and other lightning elemental weapons like the hammer as well. That's really good. Um, One thing that I've also found is that two status effects that stick a lot are blind and paralyze. Now, blind and paralyze both are really good at helping you mitigate damage because, of course, they're missing you or they're not attacking at all. Um, some units that have paralyze on them are Seven, who has paralyze with her limit break, Darkfina, who can paralyze with distress, and Exdeath, who can also paralyze with his limit break. Now, something I found that's really interesting, I don't know if it's supposed to be this way, but Dark Phoenix Distress seems to have a 100% success rate to paralyze these machines. So, in my specific fight, I've been, of course, using double cast Thungaga for damage with X Death, and I have Dark Phoenix running Distress because she paralyzes the strikers instantly. It always works. It's always worked every single fight. So have plenty of time to build up limit break meter by just having the other rounds while they're paralyzed be regular attacks. So definitely keep that in mind when you're building your team up or when you're picking your friend because that can really help. Um, Besides that, uh, the creepy mask also has an AoE paralyze, even though it's a little bit um, as far as a lower success rate. But that can be something that's really helpful too, because being paralyzed for 3 rounds is a lot of time for you to do whatever you need to do to recover from attacks, to deal a lot of damage, especially if you don't really have a high DPS team. So that can really make the difference between having to eat a whole bunch of AoEs and use a lot of magic curing yourself. Uh, versus just being able to beat everything up at your leisure. So it's really cool. Um, the last tip that I got for the boss is that with the boss, you don't want to use magic unless you have it paralyzed. It has a really nasty counterattack if you cast magic spells that deal damage on it. So you always want to go for the paralyzed first, or you want to stick to physical attacks all the way through. Now, at certain breakpoints, he's got really powerful AoEs that can cause blind and paralyze. So my suggestion is to try to paralyze the boss as soon as possible because you can burn the boss down really easily if he's paralyzed, and then he doesn't get a chance to do any of the nasty stuff to you. So you'll see that in at the end of this fight because I'm not able to get the paralyzed going right away. So I'm basically working everything down until the paralyzed works. Then I'm able to burn the boss down. So I'll let this finish up, and then we'll go into the Doublicorn fight and talk about that. But if you notice that Dark Phoenix Distress has worked every single time, it is ridiculous, and it makes everything really easy. So if you were lucky enough to get Dark Phoenix, then this is a cakewalk. Whole time I've been just farming it up. So with the boss fight, I tried the limit break. It doesn't work right away, so I have to just tough it out until I can get the paralyzed to work. But once it does, it's game time. It's great. Now I did this video a little early in as far as the event, so I've gotten much better and much cleaner approach now as how I deal damage to the boss. So at this point, I've been able to get the boss down in about 3 to 4 rounds, as long as the paralyze goes off in the beginning. If not, you just have to deal with everything, because it starts off with a jump attack in the first round if it's not paralyzed, and then after that you just got to deal with using a bunch of physical attacks until you have a chance to paralyze again. Dark Fiend is good for it because it usually took only about 2 or 3 rotations of distress to get paralyzed back on in case I miss it with X Death. But in optimal situations, I like to get it with X Death, and then I just chain a whole bunch of damage to make sure I'm able to get the boss taken down in 3 rounds. So I don't think I'm going to show the rest of the fight because you'll know how to take care of it yourself. And let's go ahead and go on to the Doublicorn fight and talk about that. So with the Doublicorn fight, it's really interesting because this is the closest thing I've seen to an MMO fight in this game. And so there's a few things that are really, really important that I want to go over with you, just to make this as easy as possible. So the first thing is that the Doublicorn is not going to attack you unless you attack it first. So during the first round, you want to go ahead and buff everyone up. Now this boss is designed to wipe you really, really easily, so you have to really pay attention to what you're doing in order to survive this fight with uh, minimal losses. So my suggestion is, since the boss attacks multiple times and each attack can hit for 9999, you want to shrink down the amount of targets you have, and you do that with provoke. And if you slap a Mirage Vest on the person that has provoke, uh, almost all the time when they absorb the attacks, they won't get hit at all. It's really fantastic. Now, I'm using a cover tank with Cecil in order to give me double the chance of making sure either Cecil or Snow are the ones who are attacked. So the only downside with Cecil is he's going to die. So every single round, I have to raise Cecil, and he may cover tank again, but it accomplishes the same goal. I'm only healing Cecil because he's dying, but he's dying while he's covering, so he absorbs all of the attacks. And if Snow gets attacked, then he doesn't die because the attacks miss due to barrage. Um, Outside of that, as long as you have a way to mitigate the damage and make sure your targets are being picked, you can just go to town on the boss. So this is really the epitome of an MMO style tank and spank. So that's really the easiest way to do it. When you have just a Mirage Provoker, don't have them doing anything else, because you don't want to miss your rotation and have Provoke wear off, because that could put your party at risk. So if you just have a Mirage Provoker and no cover tank, I recommend doing a cycle of Provoke the first round, Mirage when you start attacking, then Mirage again, and then it'll be time to Provoke again, because then the third round will be over. If you do that, then you'll almost guarantee that the only person that will be attacked the whole time is going to be the Provoke tank. And so you'll notice that that makes your job tons easier. Now, the Doublicorn is immune to every status effect except for sleep. It has a really, really high resistance for sleep. So, I mean, you can try to put it to sleep to get a little bit of breathing room, but honestly, as long as you have everything set up where you've got a tank in place, the fight's pretty easy. So at this point, because I was already doing this method of tanking before, I started with this route, and I haven't lost this fight yet. So that's honestly the best way that I know how to take care of the Doublicorn, because you want all of that extra loot and you want all of that extra XP that the Doublicorn is going to give you. Now, worst case scenario, if you're not going to be able to make it through the rounds and you know that you're not strong enough to take out the Doublicorn, if you don't attack it and you just block for 3 rounds, it will leave. It'll run away on its own. So don't feel obligated to have to fight it if you do not think that you can win, or if you don't have a setup that's going to allow you to really manage how the Doublicorn tries to attack you. But that is it. I mean, that's both the elite difficulty, and that's the Doublicorn fight. So, let me know of your success in the comment section below on my YouTube page, and hit me up on Twitch too, and let me know. This is my first video for Brave Exvius through Twitch, so I definitely want your feedback on it. And I'm really excited that the game continues to grow. I love the game. It's been a lot of fun, and so I'm going to work hard to cover it even better than I have so far. Um, Outside of that, I hope everybody is doing well in the event. I hope everybody's going to get all the gear and all the abilities that they need. I personally want to get a hold of 7 if I can. I have a Trey already, and so if I can get Ace, that's fantastic. But since I was able to get Dark Fina during the last banner summon on the very, very last day, which you can check out my reaction on another video, I'll have a link to it down in the description below. Then, if I don't get Ace, I'm okay. That's fine. But, you know, that is it. So I'm gonna let the fight play out. But again, I appreciate you coming by. Uh, if you like this, throw me a like. If you haven't subscribed already, go ahead and do it because we got a lot to always discuss on my channel. And I hope you take care and God bless. Let's leave it now. I'm out.